Hey, it's Trash Talk, and this week we are talking music.
Yes, my favorite, but definitely a passion. My favorite.
You know, if have you ever run into somebody that just does not like music?
No, because they're probably an alien or the devil. And even the devil
Yeah,
likes music.
yeah. I mean, and it's interesting. The thought just occurred to me. You would say, oh, only somebody that's deaf. Deaf people love music
They do. They do.
because
Well,
it's
they could feel the beats and the
they feel the
vibrations.
beat. Yep. The two most important members of the band to a person that's hard of hearing or deaf is the drummer and the bassist.
So speaking of deaf people, there's a couple videos going around. You can look them up, but there's two in particular, and it's a signer at an Eminem concert, which I don't know how she does that, and at a Lil Wayne concert. I think it's Lil Wayne, and this woman is amazing. She's doing it and she's rocking out, and like to the one point that Eminem stops and looks at her and is like, wow, because she is getting every lyric and every word, and she's into it and she's doing it because it was really cool to watch. It was something that I was like, that is awesome,
I went to a Temptations and Four Tops concert where they had two signers that would kind of switch off, and these two young ladies were just rocking the house with
right?
their hands. They were, like you said, they were mouthing all of the lyrics. They were making the moves. When the temps were moving side to side, they were moving side to side. It was really cool to watch.
I'm so impressed with that bit because music is such a thing. Like I find it, I'm sure there's somebody in the world that doesn't like music. I don't want to meet them, but it's such a thing. It's such a connection on so many different levels, from lyrics to a time in your life to, a moment that maybe you're thinking about. Like it tells a story and everybody can relate to something,
I honestly cannot even imagine somebody who doesn't like some form of music, whether it is just meditation type music, classical music for somebody who's maybe just into reading classic books and listening to that music,
whatever,
right down to the hardcore heavy metal followers. Music is such a part of our life. You cannot watch a TV show, a movie, a commercial on TV that doesn't have a musical score of some sort.
You got jingles, you got theme songs. Like you hear the start of a theme song. Like the minute you said TV, I hear the Office theme song in my head. I was just singing the Growing Pains theme song the other day for some random reason. But it's part of us. And there's so many different genres and styles and artists, and that I feel like you got to find one. And that's like me. Like there's music on in my place all the time. If I'm cleaning, music's on. I got my own playlists of different stuff. Luke's got his own playlist. I mean, we watch music, we play music. It's on more than television.
Yeah. And as soon as you get into the car, I don't even turn the radio off. As soon as you turn the engine on, the radio goes on to the station that's playing. I've got Sirius XM, and I go back and forth between classic vinyl and classic rock.
Yeah.
Well, those the two favorite channels.
And it's never ending. It's never ending.
Yeah. So even the T-shirt, I got my classic
cassette tapes. I remember, back in the day, and I did a shameless plug. I did a whole concert series on my podcast, Life of Average Joe, and I talked about tapes. And I remember the days with my big giant boombox when it had the dual cassette tape. Oh, it was awesome. And this one had detachable speakers. So it was beautiful. So I remember it, and I remember putting the cassette tapes in and borrowing. I would borrow a buddy's tape and then record it because I didn't have it. Or I listened to the radio to the top 10 and record the songs because I didn't have the albums yet. And that's what I would do. And I would do my own little radio show in between. Like, hey, this is Brandon at blah, 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 and I'd announce the music. But it's always been a part of my life.
Yeah. I mean, and we talk about how the music industry, kind of reached out to everybody saying, well, people were downloading music and they weren't paying for it. It was taking royalties out of the artist's pockets and all. Man, when we were kids, we were dubbing cassette tapes. Like you said, you had the boombox that had the dual cassette players in it. So you would play a cassette and you would be recording on a blank for somebody else.
Absolutely. Well, and then a lot of the tapes would have that little tab punched out so you couldn't record.
Yeah.
But then we got advanced and we figured out different ways and all that. And then you could punch out the tab. I had a buddy that would sell those tapes illegally out of the back of his trunk. So, whatever. But, that's what we did. And we would trade tapes. There was especially in the hip hop scene back home, you would trade tapes. You'd find a lot of underground guys and they would have, and it's not just hip hop, but it was a lot of it. And they would have tapes from underground guys and you just trade. Let me get this guy. Let me check this guy out and all that. But so
those were the original days of making what we used to call party mixes.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You would take all your favorite stuff and put it together on one tape, and you'd go to somebody's house and have a party. You just pop that tape in and you had 2 hours worth of music right there.
And that's how you'd find some new stuff too. You're like, oh, what's that? And then that's how bands and artists got discovered. But so you talked about like, listening to vinyl and all that. Like what, I'm serious. What are some of the bands or artists that you listen to that are a go-to on a regular?
Well, either just the bands, and I'll probably my top bands for me, the Rolling Stones, the Who, probably two of my favorites as far as solo artists. Followed Tom Petty a lot. His stuff. Bruce Springsteen got a lot of great mix. I mean, your boy Prince and all had just phenomenal stuff. Other groups that I liked. I mean, I go back to the folk era, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Even early Dylan and all, where you really listened and got into lyrics, but that was also protest music at the time.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, there was a lot going on in the world,
Yeah. Solo artists. Bonnie Raitt, one of my all-time favorite singer, songwriter, guitarists. Who else? Eric Clapton. Could sit and watch him perform for days too. So, those were some of the groups I grew up. Then there was the Motown groups, Aretha Franklin. And by the way, if you haven't seen the movie Respect, which
I haven't seen it yet,
which is the story, the Aretha Franklin story with Jennifer Hudson in the lead, phenomenal movie, great movie.
I heard nothing but good things about it. I wanted to see it.
The music was, that's one of those movies that I guarantee when it's over, you will applaud, because it was that good. And the musical score was that good too.
Yeah. I forgot that was out right now. So that I'm glad you told me, because I love music documentaries and I love a good music movie. I've watched some bad music movies, but there's some great ones out there like Ray and, Bohemian Rhapsody and all that. Those are phenomenal movies.
Yeah. And a lot of those are remixes too. A Star Is Born, the most recent one with what's his name, Lady Gaga and forgot his name. But when you'll go back to the days of Barbra Streisand and the leader of the Bee Gees,
Bradley Cooper. You're thinking of Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper in the newer version, and Barry Gibb in the original version. A lot of remakes.
I love that. I got to be honest. I've seen that old version and this. I prefer the Lady Gaga one myself. I just think they killed it. They crushed it. It was amazing.
Well, they can do so much more technically with music today.
Knowing that the two of them sang together, I was
like,
you gotta be kidding me. Like,
yeah. What was the old movie that was the Janis Joplin story with who played the lead in that? Played Janis Joplin.
I don't know.
I'll think of it. Some of those.
There's a great, when we're talking about music movies, there's a phenomenal one. I always thought it'd be a great play, Broadway play, and it's called Across the Universe. and it is all about it's the Beatles music set to a story, and the actors in there are phenomenal. Bono's in there from U2, but it goes through. It's a love story, but it plays the songs into the story about the war, getting drafted, and it is one of the most visually spectacular movies I have seen. Beautifully written songs. I have the soundtrack to it, and it's all the cast singing it, and it's just, yeah. If you ever want to watch it, it's across the universe. It's amazing. But
got another good movie for you about the Beatles music. I think it was called I Am Sam.
Yeah.
With Penn, Sean Penn.
Yeah, Sean Penn's in that. I Am Sam. Yeah.
Plays a mentally challenged father trying to raise his daughter, and he believes in the lyrics of the Beatles and raises his daughter to follow some of the lyrics of the Beatles and everything. And it's a great acting job, but a great soundtrack also.
Oh, it is. Yeah, the story. I remember seeing it. I haven't seen it in a while, but it was great. I listen to so much stuff, and some of it depends on mood, obviously.
Right.
If I'm taking a road trip, we got road trip playlists, but I've been listening to a lot of different artists. I mean, recently, because I just went to the Guns N' Roses concert, that's all I've been playing. I've been obsessed with them since like 7th grade. It hasn't gone away. Actually, funny story. At one point in 8th grade for Halloween at school, I dressed up as Axl Rose, and I had a buddy that dressed up as Slash. And I came to school. Now, obviously, I had hair, but not long hair. I came to school in like this really nice, blondish wig. And I had my hat backwards. I had this shirt that was like kind of open with a flannel around my waist. But Axl used to wear the long underwear on stage. I came to school in my underwear and military boots. And here's the funny, I know there's a picture out there. If anybody's listening from South Lyon, please get that out there. But I went in my underwear, and do you know that I didn't even get kicked out of school? And I was walking around in my white, long Calvin Klein underwear, like the boxer briefs in military boots, dressed as Axl Rose.
That's like the lead of AC/DC.
Yeah.
That wore the shorts.
Oh, you mean the guitar player?
Yeah.
He's phenomenal, man. But again, though, those are bands. Like if you look at those bands, AC/DC, regardless of what they're doing now, if you appreciate their music or not, or Guns N' Roses, you look at them and they took the world by storm. They made an impact. They are the epitome. They're up on that level of rock that we don't see nowadays. So I listen to them. Obviously, Prince. David Bowie is one of my biggest favorites. I love Bowie. But then I listen to stuff like Leon Bridges, he's a guy from Fort Worth. Cody Jinks is a country artist that I just love. It's across the board. There's so much music. And I really felt like the pandemic really made these artists write some more and do some really good stuff and get away from the corporate selling of their songs and just be artists. And I think we got a lot of music out of that.
Yeah, it's and I think that if you pick out different genres, are there any genres of music that you don't really care for? Maybe you'll listen to it occasionally, but you don't care for?
I respect it, and there's some stuff I have on some classical, but there's a lot of country I don't like. I don't like modern country. I'm just gonna say I think it's crap. I think a lot of the stuff they play on the radio is cheesy. It's generic. When they cross over with hip hop, I'm like, just stop it. It's awful.
I agree with you. I think it's more country pop, if you will. If you go back to pure country, I like that. I'll tell you, one of my favorite stations on Sirius is called No Shoes Radio, and it's Kenny Chesney, because Kenny Chesney is a great country artist, but Absolutely. He also has a home in the Virgin Islands, and so his channel is a kind of a cross between Kenny Chesney country and island music, and some of it is stuff that he's written. and it's really a great departure and a very interesting channle. But
because it's
Kenny
so
Chesney,
different.
if you go back to Clint Black, as some of the early artists, country performers, I have my times when I like to sit and listen to that. I'm also a great follower of jazz, not some of the old free form jazz, but more the modern easy listening jazz type stuff.
I get that. I can see that. Yeah, with country, it's so obviously Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, the Highwaymen. That's why I love Cody Jinks so much, because it reminds me of that. He's so pure and raw, and his lyrics are great. But I listen to guys like Ward Davis and Luke Combs is pretty commercial, but he's really good. Wade Bowen, Co Wetzel, Parker McCollum. Those are the guys I like.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's now, are there groups, if you think back in your past, are there groups that you just gag me with a spoon? You don't care for?
Yeah, there are. You know who I don't like, and people are going to be like, what? There's I cannot stand Rush. I think that guy's voice makes me want to poke my eyeballs out.
There are some that are, I agree. I was never, and I to this day, if it comes on, I have a tendency to turn. I never got into ABBA.
Oh no, God! Now I've made fun of them. Like I've been to a wedding or something, and some stupid song comes on. That's different. But no, like when I hear Mamma Mia, I'm like, God, just stop. Like, just when that stupid commercial comes on for the movie, I'm like, no, get out of here. Like, just stop it. You know?
And they made a movie. They made a
sequel,
a stage play out of it. I mean, they got their money's worth out of that one, but I never got into ABBA. There were a few that I just.
I don't like Alanis Morissette. I've always can't stand her either. They make her out to be something really great, and she's god awful. And I never liked her when she came out, like back in the early '90s. I was like, just gross.
A lot of people followed Fogerty and Creedence Clearwater, and I never really got into that either. I don't know what it was. Now, I was just listening the other day to some of the old Pink Floyd.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, some of that music was so different. The Moody Blues were like in a class by themselves. Electric Light Orchestra.
It was also, if you look at the time that they came out too, it's still different to this day. Yeah. But if you look at the time that they came out, it was unheard of, the stuff that they were doing. Well, same thing with the Doors. I love the Doors. But if you look at what they were doing, it was not, I mean, it was totally different.
And they were basically four pieces, like Cream. Cream was a three-piece band. Bad Company, also pure rock song. I love Bad Company. They're just, it's an unlimited flow of music that's out there. And if you enjoy it, and today we've been able to take that concert hall experience and put those earbuds into your ear and just go back on your recliner and everything, and it's just like being in the music hall.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even when I watch concerts on television, I've been doing that. I did a lot more last year when we were like just sitting around, and they were showing a lot more. But we watched a Foo Fighters concert, and you shut the lights down and you're there. You got the sound. Speaking of music, though, is there any modern stuff? I'll say the last 10 years that you like, that's modern, that you're not going back 15, 20 years. In the last maybe even 8 years, is there anything any bands, artists, anything like that you're listening to these days?
Well, because I listen to Sirius, sometimes I get on a channel that's playing more current music. As far as groups, I don't know. They're not real current, but Maroon 5 and Train and some of those groups and everything I like, because they do some heavy stuff, but they do some easy listening stuff. I've always been a purveyor of enjoying bands where I can actually listen to lyrics.
I love
if a band's going to come out and jump all over the stage and yell and scream at the top of their lungs, and there's pyrotechnics going off and lights flashing and everything, it just isn't going to grab me. I really want to kind of follow what's going on. I also like performers in live concerts that don't finish one tune, say thank you very much, and the next song is from our second album, and then they play it, and then thank you very much, and next is this. I want a little interaction. I want to, those artists. Crosby, Stills, and Nash were always that way. If you've ever been to one of their concerts, they engage the audience, whether it's Crosby, Stills, and Nash or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. But I've been a follow. We both, my wife and I, have been followers of Chicago and Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I'll talk about those groups that had instrumental backup. It wasn't just 3-4 players out on the stage. They had vocal backup. They had instrumental backup. Always enjoyed that in the concert setting.
I do think that the performance. I've been to some concerts where the performance is phenomenal, but it just wasn't a great show. And whatever. And I get it. Some bands are good to just listen to and not go see. I've been listening. I think nowadays, if I had to say any modern stuff, Post Malone, I really like him. He's super talented. He's unreal. I didn't want to like him, and then I just do. He is a very talented guy. I love The Weeknd. I
was just going to mention that. He was a surprise when he came out on the scene.
Yeah, I mean, he's from Canada. It's a different, he's very interesting. Obviously, everyone knows I'm an Eminem fan. That ain't going away. So, but, as far as a lot of the other stuff, it's like, it feels to me that it's all about the moment and the place, and it's not about the music. And I don't want to put any artists down that are out there hustling, but the radio, it's like, I got a hit song and a hit album. That's all I need. I'm done. And the longevity of current artists is not there. It's there, half the artists you listened to last year aren't there this year.
Are you familiar with the 27 Club?
I don't know. Yeah. You mean everybody who died when they were 27?
Yeah.
Hendrix, Joplin, Jim Morrison. Yeah.
Yeah. Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
Yep. Even going back to bluesman Robert Johnson, who I used to follow some of his early playing. Brian Jones was actually one of the first ones that died at 27.
I forgot.
And that people followed. Janis Joplin, you're right. But it was just kind of eerie. And then Amy Winehouse.
Oh yeah, she was 27
years old.
That's a waste.
Yeah.
We didn't get the opportunity to see what Amy Winehouse could do. I felt like, I mean, I don't want anybody to die, whether I like him or not, but Amy Winehouse, I loved her. I still love listening to that voice. And I would have loved to seen what she could have done, man. I really do.
I felt that way about Jim Morrison. I mean, 27 years old, the amount of music that he created, and he and Ray Manzarek, his keyboard player and everything, they just came up with stuff that was so out of the envelope. But there were so many other artists that died well before their time. You go back to Richie Valens and the Big Bopper and Bill Haley.
That was one swoop, just boom.
Yeah, John Denver. One of my very, very all-time favorites, Jim Croce. We've witnessed some of those great groups and everything, and like you said, you wonder where would they be today? Would they be history today, or would they be right at the top of the heap?
Or would they be helping other bands or produce? And I think about some of the more modern. I mean, obviously, the two deaths instantly that I think of that affected me. I mean, like genuinely I was sad and affected me was Prince and Bowie. That took it out of me. Still takes it out of me. But I think about some of the more modern ones, Chris Cornell from Soundgarden and Audio Slave. I grew up with that, you know, when they came on the scene in 8th grade. And when he committed suicide, I was like, oh my gosh. And then there's a guy from Lincoln Park, Chester Bennington. He killed himself on Chris Cornell's birthday. And because they were best friends. And he was so young. I mean, he was younger than I am.
Yeah.
You know, like I just.
Well, you know, when grunge and garage music started, and Kurt Cobain was just rocketing to the top of the charts, and all of a sudden he was gone. And
it was, and we never even got to see, and so I became I liked Nirvana, but I wasn't a big Nirvana like blown out. I liked some of the other bands better.
Right. I liked them because they were different at the time.
And I appreciate them more now because Luke likes them, but we never got to really see what he could do. And I think about that. I look at that era of grunge and alternative music, and out of that, we lost Chris Cornell. We lost Lane Staley from Alice in Chains. We lost Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots, and we lost Kurt Cobain. Those were some of the biggest bands when it hit the scenes in the 90s.
Yeah.
Sad, you know?
And what really saddens me too is that in many cases it was drug related.
Yeah. Or depression. I mean, Scott Weiland and the guy from Alice in Chains were drug related. Chris Cornell and Chester were battled with depression, just battled with it. That's sad. Kurt Cobain, well, you know, there's a lot of controversy around that. So.
And yet a lot of the artists' depression and everything was the foundation for some of their talent. Their music, their lyrics and everything came from their personal experiences with drugs and alcohol and depression and all of those things too.
Well, let's be real. Like, how many happy songs do you want to hear? They all, you know what I mean? Like, I like happy. I mean, there's some great happy music. You just want to feel good, you know, and you play it. But in all reality, what makes for a better story? Something sad or tragic or deep above just, I'm happy and I woke up today. Like, well, you know, sometimes you can relate more to the tragedies.
Yeah, look at country music. Most of country music is about being unhappy and getting jilted and being left at the altar, or you know, running off with somebody's pickup truck.
Yeah, look, you know what? I lost my job, lost my pickup truck, my dog died, and my sister broke up with me, you know?
That's right. So, yeah. And where do I go from here? Go out and buy my album.
Yeah, but I mean, but in all fairness, I mean, again, there is some of the happier stuff, Motown and all that. But if you listen to some of those Motown lyrics when they're happy, they're not happy lyrics. They're just singing happy. Like, you know, some of those songs are just depressing, you know?
Yeah. All of a sudden, a very, very old lyric just came to my head. And that was, who's making love to your old lady while you were out making love?
Ouch.
And that was a Motown song, but it very well could have been a country song.
I didn't know. Do you know the song? Or do you know?
I don't remember the group.
I'm going to look that up because I love Motown and I don't even remember that.
Who's making love to your old lady while you is out making love?
Man, one of my favorite songs, it's not really considered Motown, but it could be in that genre, is by the Shy Lights. Ooh Girl, Oh Girl. Oh my God. Yeah. That's a sad, now they sing it sad, but man, that's a song you listen to and you're like, this guy was going through something.
The Shy Lights were also one of the groups that originally did If You Don't Know Me By Now.
Which is a great song, phenomenal song.
Yeah. So, hey, we could probably do a whole series of shows about music, you know, but it's I'm feeling like I got to go get in the car and just go drive, turn on the stereo and let it blare and
yeah, I gotta jam out. I got some stuff to do today. I gotta jam out. So
there you go. Turn your amplifier up to 11.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get kicked out.
All right. Well, hey, join us again next week, 8:00 on Tuesday, and all for another session of Trash Talk with Brandon and Stuart. Well, make it a good one, y'all.